Welcome today on the Radical Hospitality. I'm thrilled to have Mike and Ann Howard from HoneyTrek join us. We met about a year ago at the glamping show, and I recently saw on social media that they were in our neck of the woods in Colorado doing a little tour here. So I reached out to see if we could get them on the Radical Hospitality show for you guys. So these guys are known as having the world's longest honeymoon, just an incredible backdrop story. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. They are working on several areas of consulting and writing books. So would love to just hop into that, Mike, and welcome to Radical Hospitality.
Good to be here, Zeke.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So first of all, maybe just if you guys could give a little backdrop for our audience. As I mentioned before the show, Radical Hospitality guys are people that are in the industry developing unique stays, unique, glamp sites, landscape hotels, boutique hotels. And I know you guys just bring so much from traveling all around the world. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you guys do, and then we'll hop into how you guys got started on this world's longest honeymoon.
We were living in New York back in the 2005 to 11, and actually I worked in design magazines. So I worked for Elle Decor and House Beautiful, Metropolitan Home. So my world was home design, and then we kind of had this realization that when we were planning our honeymoon, like all the things we wanted to do in our lives and how would we achieve these on these 2-week vacations. So we decided to sell all that stuff and prioritize these life experiences over, buying a bigger house, a car, and starting our life together with a big bang with this year-round honeymoon around the world, which has now become 13 years because we fell in love with the planet. We fell in love with, the creative people we're meeting out in the hospitality world, and just inspiring other people to kind of get out of their comfort shell and comfort zone and follow their dreams to, go explore what's out there.
Yeah, so basically, right when we started the trip, we started this blog called HoneyTrek. So honey like a honeymoon, trek like a long trek, TREK, long trek around the world. And that blog started to get a little bit of traction. Year one, mainly just used it to experience the coolest properties we could, whether they were, super high-end safari camps or glamping in Patagonia or, throughout China, just find really cool properties to stay at and share that with our audience. But it was all just barter. And then year two, started making a little money writing for other people. And then we're like, wow, we can get paid to write about glamping, to go glamping, stay in these cool places, get a little bit of money. Traveling on the road was way more affordable than obviously living in New York, but it's cheaper than living almost anywhere. And we kind of just fell into that groove. Like Ann said, loved meeting these people, sharing the stories of not just the camps, but the owners or just the locals we would meet on different activities and excursions. And we just kind of fell in love with travel, but also sharing those experiences with our audience. And then HoneyTrek just blossomed, and Nat Geo reached out 3 years into our trip and says wow, this world's longest honeymoon. We've never written a book about couples travel. So do you guys want to write our first book about couples adventure travel? And of course we said yes, had no plans of ever writing a book. But when Nat Geo asks you, the answer is always yes.
And unique accommodations were always a thread. I mean, one of the ways we kind of got our foot in the door is we were editors at large for honeymoons.com. And they said, you're a young, cool couple. You know what's romantic and would be interesting to people about to get married and have a really splash out, life experience together. And we were staying literally everywhere from the Ritz-Carlton in Okinawa to safari camps. And then our first glamping camp we did back in 2012 was called Eco Domes in Patagonia. And we're like, this literally ticks all the boxes. We are adventurous people, but we're out there, we're hiking all day, and then we want to come home and have a bit of luxury and have those comforts and savor those moments rather than, doing all the schlepping of camping or, ferrying back out to town to go to some normal hotel. We love the immersion that glamping offered with the outdoors and the moment to kind of take it all in at the end of the day without, the work and it was the sort of human side to it. You felt like you were a part of a camp. You chatted with people about the kayak around the glacier and, reaching the summit. So it really was this shared experience in this beautiful setting that we're like, this just makes so much sense. So within our writing and around hospitality, we just kind of kept seeking out more glamping camps and more, extraordinary eco lodges and places that also had a, regenerative concept of like, we are working with the land, we are honoring this ecosystem, the people. So it felt like the most mindful form of travel as well. So that's now continued as our favorite form of travel. And we love helping more of these exist in the world and working with people on creating their own glamping camps and offering this little piece of their world and land with other, adventurous and nature-minded people.
Yeah, that's amazing. So really, most of the focus now on your travel is geared towards the glam sites, or do you guys still, visit other types of sites, or how are you kind of picking and choosing, your trips and where you're going and staying? What does that look like?
It's definitely a mix. I mean, we're on the road 365 days a year. We have not had a house or an apartment a single day since 2011. So we move 365 days a year. Sometimes we're in a nice little house sit right now for a week. So we'll catch up on some work, but then we'll be back on the road a week from now. And some of it, we do a lot of partnerships with tourism boards. So we work with destinations like you were mentioning. We're doing something with Leadville, Colorado. We'll always try and mix in some glamping. Not every night
We
is
like to have
glamping.
that conversation with them because we are in a position where we get to have these chats with the tourism board and talk about not just what they think is cool and new, but what the kind of thing we want to showcase. And we always fold glamping into that conversation because of those things we just chat about. It's just they tend to be, we like that they're usually small businesses, that connection with nature, all the things we love. So we work it in wherever possible. But sometimes if you're, in a historic, we were just in Richmond, Virginia, and that town has like 400 years of history. Like to stay in a historic hotel or a historic building made sense in that context, right? So we try and do what seems best for that place. And if it's about nature, well, then it's going to be glamping.
And you can always learn something, like even when we stayed in that historic place where all the senators, because Richmond's the capital of Virginia, which we found out upon going there to do this storytelling campaign. And I didn't know it was. But then when you're there at those kind of properties, you learn things that we can then take out. And then when we have our glamping consulting clients, take some of those things that we learned from maybe a more boutique hotel or something historic, or, just somebody who has a different eye on hospitality. You can take that out and insert those things in the right position into, let's say, a glamping camp. So
Yeah, and I think that's so true about like excellent hospitality. It doesn't really matter the box that it's in so much as the way it makes you feel. And it's these personal touches, the thoughtful details that make you remember that place, that make you feel fondly about it, make you want to tell a friend. So we try and take that breadth of, the 300 plus luxury hotels and glam accommodations you see around the world and take little ideas because it doesn't matter sometimes how much budget you have or what kind of hotel it is on paper. It's what are you doing to make your guests feel special?
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think there's such a move from, just like the traditional spaces to, this landscape hotel, you know, glamping site that seems to really be like we're part of a boutique hotel mastermind group, and they're usually focused on more traditional stays. But even the conversation in there is around, how do you, what's really growing is this ability to have more unique individual type sites. What are some of your favorite that you guys have seen, in this landscape hotel glamping sites that are really doing it well from a business standpoint, being successful? What are some of your tops that you guys have visited that, hey, this is something I would point to, like these guys are doing it well?
let me grab my copy of Comfortably Wild here. It's the only book about glamping in North America.
Because truly, when we were writing this book, of course, each referenced the internet, best glamping destinations, and we're reading all those lists. We're like, you haven't even stayed here. Like you could just tell. And it was the same marketing photo getting circulated around. And we're like, no, we need to go take 2 years to drive and drive and fly to 9 countries on North America, sit down with the owners, go try the adventures, sleep in the bed, meet the people, gather around the campfire, and to see how, once again, how these places made us feel, and not were they the most luxurious or what kind of ratings they got on TripAdvisor. It was more about, yes, who were the people behind this. So why we really focus this book actually about the people behind it just as much as the experiences for the guests, because they had to have heart to make the book. I mean, some places that should have been a gimme because they always make those best glamping lists were like, nope, felt too corporate, felt like didn't
Yeah.
make, I felt like a number there. So there were some wild cards in here. And we also tried to be like, the best doesn't mean, the fanciest. So we tried to have the full range of places that some that are $2,000 a night and some that were $35 a night that were just still had something so magical about them.
This is the first property in our book is this place called Cozy Peach down in Arizona.
Okay.
They've been in business for, I don't know, 80 years or something. And I mean,
As a
it's a
farm.
family peach farm. Yeah. And then they started doing these events. So they'd host like music concerts and pumpkin festivals, and they have all these cool rides. And then, Sherry, right? Or what's that?
Carrie.
Carrie is the owner there, or, their husband and wife team. And she was just like, I want people to stay here. I want people to spend the night. And she obviously loves like Airstream trailers. And she just took these, put her heart and soul. She personally gutted them, rewired them, decorated them, designed them. And she's just like, she's got so much passion and energy. And she brings like a slice of peach pie, like on check-in that she makes the pies. She's also redoing the trailers. She's cooking Friday night dinner around the campfire for all the guests, like whoever's there on a Friday night. And she just like brings such a passion and joy to her place because she wants to share this like peach farm and orchard with her guests.
And then one step deeper, even for that, as an example, was they're outside of Phoenix, right? So Phoenix is one of the fastest growing cities. They're buying up all those farms. And when they started to see like all their neighbors' land getting turned into condos, they're like, whoa, we need to slow this down. And they started rescuing old farm buildings. When they saw them at risk of demolition, they were physically moving them to their property and safeguarding them, and then have opened it up so that it's an educational place where like kids come there and they learn about the history of the area through these old buildings and pastimes. So it was a mindful intention around like what they wanted to protect, preserve, and share with people.
And it gives you like access to, and that's like another one of our favorite things about glamping, or about kind of unique hospitality things that are either in the outdoors, connected to the outdoors, but aren't your traditional, franchise type box hotel, is that they can do something unique like that. And that's the only property in the world that has those type of buildings, that type of experience. They are a one of one. And when you stay at a one of one and you feel that passion from the owner, and you meet the owner, and you're not just cool, check in, thanks for your $200, check out, here's a survey, and like automated check-ins and all the things that people want to do to make things seamless. And sometimes you want that on your trip if you're going for business, or you just want that kind of experience. But when you can connect with the owner like that, and you're doing something that is truly unique, you're going to tell 10 of your friends like, wow, when you go down to Arizona, you need to stay at this place. It is really cool and super unique.
So a different farm stay experience was in Saskatchewan and Canada, and there were these old grain silos that they've turned into these fantastic, sort of tiny houses.
A live sky.
And they literally just had them laying around, and they were farmers. They've always been farmers. And they're like, but his wife was just kind of like people want to know about this. Like what I loved about after staying this fantastic, cool grain silo, they're like, hey, we're going to go like
Harvest.
harvest the fields. You want to hop into my combine and do this? And because they're pretty big scale farming. They're not a small farm. We're like, yeah, I'm going to ride in the combine. It was and like just that they made us a part of their day. And I think a lot of property owners, particularly who are in these sort of nature retreats, they have things they need to do, and they might be a mundane task to them. But invite, someone from the city's like, whoa, never ridden in the combine, or never,
Fed the goats. What was
fed the goats. Yeah, Willow with it was one too. Just like, inviting them to be a part of the experience and shadow what you do. Like there's a lot of interest in that sometimes I think owners don't realize what they're doing is cooler than they think. And guests will feel so special if you say, hey, you want to come with me? Like I'll show you around, or you want to help? And people do want to help.
There's kind of a level of authenticity there that you're talking about, and it's this connection back to a place, more than anything. Like when I go travel, I want to experience that area and that region. And, if you stay at a Marriott or any other location, it's like, hey, that location could be Idaho, Wisconsin or whatever. But when I go to, a particular region, like to be able to understand, what's, unique about that space and unique about that people, I think is what a lot of us are craving, is that, level of authenticity, being able to get invited in. And that seems like, from what you're talking about, both from the structures and from, the hospitality connection side. Yeah, that's really cool. For someone that's developing out a space, what are some of the things that, on your consulting side that you kind of talk them through to create that authenticity?
I think it's sense of place is really big, and diving deep into what makes your land special, what makes you special, what makes your area special. You're looking for clues all the time. Like you should know your immediate area and its history, its flora, fauna, the people before you. All of these are really tactile details to draw on, and because you can't really outcompete, being the fanciest, but no one can be you, right? So you have to be as you as possible and true to your area, true to the story of your land, and draw from that because that will always be unique.
And another thing that is unique to your property and something that we help our clients with, is actually a full chapter in our course, is how to leverage the skills, talents, and passions of people within 50 miles of your camp. And there's different, levels that you can do it, from making it seem like they're actually part of your operation to just kind of third-party referrals. But that network is not only powerful because it gives back to your local community and but it also helps your guests experience things that they are not going to they're not going to search out. So it spreads the love around your community. It brings business back to you because those 3 or 5 or 10 outfitters that you refer business to for activities, whether it's, an ATV tour, a fishing tour, or a foraging tour, those people are all getting requests through their social media. Oh, where should I stay? I'd love to come do this. Where should I stay? And that two-way street not only feels good, but it's also good for your occupancy rates. And it's just a great way to leverage that. And again, to bring it back to that, why is this place unique? What's special about this? Why, it's the best concierge you can have when you're connecting with these local people, and you're the person as the camp owner who needs to facilitate that and kind of put it front and center.
We're in Colorado. You guys just finished up a Colorado tour. We're actually working with some clients right now, looking at different glamp grounds, landscape hotels. What were some of the sites that you guys went and visited? What did you see that worked and didn't work? We have pretty big winters here, so our structures probably, may need to have some solidity to it. What were you seeing that was, being successful in Colorado, and what type of places did you guys visit?
Have you heard of the Slumber Yard at Freight in Leadville, Colorado?
I've actually stayed there. We did a little, we did a little research last year and went up. It's really cool little cabins.
Wanted to talk about sense of place, right? It's in the old train depot from the late, 1800s. And
These are the buildings, right? These are all buildings from
Really,
stuff.
they've saved the actual train station, and then also was a lumber yard for a long time. So now it's the Slumber Yard, which is pretty cute. And they were using found materials from all those years to then recreate their more modern cabins. But they also have a huge community element, and we are very big on community-based tourism, supporting locals, and for this fab wedding venue that they have, and they use the old depot for tons of more high-end wedding type things. They also say, hey, midweek, we offer this space for free to nonprofits. Use this as a community gathering space. So they're doing so many fun things, like from, dances to bingo nights to bring locals in. And they also say, hey, you're organizing around, the need for a better animal shelter or whatever it is. And they offer that as a community space. So I think that goodwill is huge. And then you aren't the kind of like fancy thing at the end of the block who seems elitist. People want to be a champion for you. And so when their, relatives come to town and they can't host them all at Thanksgiving, they're going to send them your way. So I think that's, always think about how you can give back to the community will come back to you.
Another favorite Colorado one, which is a little bit fancier, but it's a great example of preserving those historic cabins and giving people a really high level of luxury and experience, but still in kind of a rustic log cabin way. Have you done Dunton Hot Springs yet, or heard of those guys? And they basically bought this ghost town to kind of preserve it, but also to take that history and kind of elevate it up a notch.
When we stayed in the old general store, they had moved a Pony Express office from a different mining town. And then, they had actual hot springs too, which the miners were using in those days as well. So it really has this throwback moment to the West, but done in such an elevated way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's another great, thing that you just mentioned there is, by a lot of, retired businesses or retired cities that, are trying to struggle to figure out like, how to make these financially feasible can be repurposed into hospitality and given new life and new space. And, all of a sudden you're, coming into a, struggling farm or something, you're adding a piece that's helps, a great historic business like make it or a historic structure, get new life. And it's got a story to tell.
No, I think the story to tell is really huge, and people don't hone that enough. Like, what is your story? When we see a website that doesn't have an about us page, I'm like immediately suspect. I'm like, who are you? What is going on here? And people try and be bigger than they are and fancier than they are, and with this sort of vague floral language. I'm like, nah, be real. Like tell me who you are and why are you doing this and why should I care? And that goes a lot further than trying to like paint the dream in kind of speech you've heard 1,000 times. So I feel like people need to expose a little bit more of themselves, and that can be scary. People don't will like the privacy of it, but I think, you look at the success of the social media world, it's people who are a little bit vulnerable and are willing to share, I think do better in the end. And you'll remember them in the end too.
Yeah, that is another like Anne was talking about the social media side. I mean, we've grown HoneyTrek to across all our platforms. We're a little bit north of 400,000 followers on social. So we have a pretty good idea of how to bring that authenticity and grow that engagement and followers. So a lot of our clients will be like, okay, how do I do this? I really don't like social media, but like I can post like a photo a week or this and that, or I'm building out my property and it's not perfect yet. So I don't want to promote it on social until I get really good photos. And we're like, be real, be raw. Are you breaking land? Are you out there mowing grass and you have no structures up?
Did something go terribly awry? Yeah, it's really fun.
Do a little video, shoot a video of your wife doing this or your husband doing this or your partner, like, shoot just something, you're digging you got the excavator and you're digging out a pond, like just talk to your audience and say what you're dreaming for this to be. And like, and just show them that you're a real person because you need to get that following. Like anybody who is opening a camp, thinking about owning a camp, like just start getting that content. Ask your audience what they want. Hey, what kind of structures do you guys like? We're researching ourselves. You guys like domes or tree houses or tiny homes?
We
Like
use them for A/B testing.
exactly, A/B test and get their input and find out because just what you think glamping is or what you think your audience wants might be totally different than what the local community actually does want. So do good research and also just good interaction. And it's good practice for when you really do get up and running and then you want to be a little bit more professional.
Yeah, that's such great input. Kind of the mix of personal and like the professional glamour. Do you see most like what's working on the marketing of social media is this personal brand, individual homeowners and individual business owners talking about their story, or do you see this as more, the campground brand? Are you seeing these things need to be separated or tied together or
Hopefully you have that campground brand across all social and your website. So it's like a nice, easy brand to remember and find across social. At least be on all these platforms. You don't need to be from, producing TikTok videos if that's not your thing, but at least reserve your brand name on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Reserve your handle. Hopefully it's the same handle across all these platforms and get a link to your website up there, get a nice photo of your property. So at least you're there, at least you have a presence there. If people do want to tag you in their own TikTok video when they stay on your property, at least they'll be able to tag you. You don't have to promote content, but you can reshare other people's content that tags you. And then the personal side of it, like we recommend you can be personal on your business brand because that's going to help grow XYZ campground, XYZ property is whatever your business handle is, but you can be personal in there. Obviously, you're going to show professional photos and reshare other people's videos, but you can also, we want to see the owner on those handles as well. I mean, they can have their own private Facebook and their own, but usually if you're trying to build that brand, you can use your own personal insights and experiences on your business brand to make the audience see, wow, this is a real person. This isn't just BlackRock coming in and buying up properties and trying to flip them and take my money for a cute room night. Like, it's a real owner there, and who I want to support. I feel a connection to them. I follow them on social. You're more likely to interact than just a lot of photos of the same room.
I also think that people lump social media like it's one thing. Every channel is really different, and we speak to our audiences differently. So, our Instagram wall is like our big portfolio. That all looks really polished. But our Instagram stories, which is within the same platform but a different avenue, that's can be sillier and looser in this, like, it's important actually between us going to some fabulously fancy place and then our car breaks down. You should also show your car breaking down. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it makes you real and people not want to hate you that your life is so perfect and that kind of thing. So we are more experimental on TikTok because that's kind of like a new one. It's younger and we do quicker things over there. So we're kind of like testing the waters all the time, all the places. Sometimes it'll work fantastically across all, but maybe like, oh, that's not bad. Let's try it over here. And then if it does really well, maybe you put it over on your main Instagram wall. So you can be testing grounds for yourself. And yeah, it's just all about experimenting. And it's also a very fast moving and forgiving place. So well, if it doesn't, go gangbusters, on to the next thing. Like, don't be scared to price out.
And I will say, I mean, I'm more of a late adapter. We've had social media personally, for years for our business, but this has been the year that we kind of said, okay, we really need to take this seriously as a business exercise. It's not just a friends and family place to share of, hey, here's what's going on. It is the current marketing of our time. Like, and there's no other place as affordably that you can put out a direct communication to your clients in a way that's gets that kind of reach. And so with that, like, we started to look at actually like building a team, around this. Like, I still need to run an architecture business, people who have glamp sites still need to run their, glamp site business. How much of this would you advise like the person DIY going at this versus bringing in, some help? And I don't know if you guys do all your own, but if
Well, yeah, man. I mean, it's our brand, and like social media is our only thing. We don't have, we do some books and consulting, but like,
Not our only thing, but it's a huge,
yeah.
it's storytelling is the core of our business. So we take a lot of pride in that. Many people do farm it out when they're supposed to be putting it's like their personal stamp, they let someone else do it. That is strange to me. But yeah, like you said, you are your glamping camp owner, you're an architecture firm. You're not expected to know all the things and be able to dedicate the time that is necessary. And there's a lot of talent out there, and there's a lot of affordable talent out there to help you get it going. You still want to have the big picture on it. You want to have them fully understand your brand, your voice, your aesthetic. Like, you need to train that person properly. You can't be like, yeah, you're a millennial, you know what you're doing. No, it has to sound like you, and that's going to take time. But developing that relationship with that person is that you can build trust and you're still the editor at the end. So, but you can have somebody help you get it going for sure.
And like, two little tips we give to people, especially the more mom and pop or more, smaller businesses that don't have $3-5 grand a month to put into some social media, consulting firm, or even $1,000 a month, is to take lots of photos, shoot lots of video, especially in that build out stage. Or if you're up and running, just constantly be shooting. Have yourself a little Google Drive where you're just constantly dropping photos and videos in there. Almost every family has some millennial or younger.
No, I think you need this point. There's Fiverr, there's more professional places to be looking for talent versus tapping your niche.
It's both, but sometimes like your family wants to help out, or maybe your parents and your
You
kid.
guys all around the same way. I think it needs to be but too long we're relying on this strange niece who's a millennial. I don't like that. More competitive than that these days. So
Is it allowance?
enough people are doing this, so there's a big pool of talent out there. And you see
A great side.
Fiverr people who are sending you their resumes.
Upwork.
Switch.
Upwork's a little bit more dialed in, but we've used them in the past for different projects
Send
where,
your resume,
you put out a bid and you say, hey, I've got $100 a month and I need 10 social media posts. Who can take this on? I'll give you the photos and assets, and here's my brand. So it's a nice, and then people will compete for your business, and you'll be able to
their testimonials and work and how much they've been paid on there and how legit they are. So it's
And we did that. We've hired an Upworks person, and I'm meeting with them daily. And it's a ongoing still effort as chief editor. Along with the editing, everything else.
Yeah.
Another area that I know you guys are experts in is kind of the influencer piece, and you guys yourselves are influencers. What does that look like for someone who owns a glamp site if they want to utilize your audience? And I'm sure you guys are very selective, personally. So you kind of have your, personal opinions of what you guys would get involved in. As someone who, owns, operates lamp sites, how do they engage with influencer? What's kosher? What's not?
Well, number one, there's lots of, the word influencer has some baggage on it, but it's a very wide range of who is an influencer. There's micro influencers who I think are very valuable to glamping camps. One, because they're a lot more affordable. If not just free, they'll just do stuff in exchange for a room night. But they're maybe very localized to your place in Asheville or your place in Laredo, Texas. They just focus on that one region of cool things to do. So that's a very micro influencer. They might only have 3,000 followers, but if 2,800 of them live in Bisbee and you're just outside of Bisbee and they have 2,800 people looking for cool things to do every weekend, that's a very valuable person. They're much more valuable to you than someone with 28,000 followers based out of Chicago. So you need to look at where they are, what their audience is like.
Also putting it out there where on your website, put a work with us section and put a little form on there to be like, we love working with creatives, photographers, videographers, people who are passionate about astro hospitality, thinking of coming our way, like want to possibly collaborate, fill out this little basic form, which is what you're going to be, what's your website, what are your Instagram, what are your social media handles. So you're getting people who are probably already coming to your area, who already think you're cool, who are want to work with you. So you never know, like you're just putting it out there. And then you get to vet. You say, we don't take everyone, we have certain standards, on and on, but you never know who might come your way. And maybe person's not an influencer, but they are a wedding photographer or something. So they really know how to take photos. So they might not have influence in that way, but maybe they have assets that are super valuable to you. So it's kind of about creating content, and maybe the reach can sometimes come from somewhere else. It doesn't always have to be from the creator. So be open to the kind of people that want to work with you, as long as they're showing some level of talent and professionalism.
So there's kind of a level that might be worth a trade, for a free stay or something like that.
But the high level, know that like a really big influencer is not going to do stuff for free anymore.
And then there's
Yeah.
influencer, which is the category you guys are in, right? So, you were mentioning before you guys are getting ready to do another sequence on your book. That would be probably another level of, influencers. So talk to me a little bit about what that looks like and, who you guys, would be looking to work with. And
So yes, Comfortably Wild is the first book, and it was about the best glamping destinations in North America, including Central America and the Caribbean. And we're truly, at our heart of hearts, we're global travelers and have been glamping for 12, 13 years. And so we have places that we truly love around the world from before, and also so much changes in this industry all the time. So we're really excited to do like a curate the globe on some of the best glamping experiences. But to us, it's really that word glamping can be a hang up, right? It's really more about, immersive experiences in the great outdoors. And also to us, where travel should be going is that it should be more and more sustainable and regenerative. And that is to us who is the elite anymore, who is thinking about being mindful of the land, the community, and the experience that your guests have with those things. So we're really going to kind of hone in on like how fantastic can you be while being as the most sustainable you can be. So that's going to be a real guiding force. We want to also
call to action. If
Yep.
anybody listening knows of a camp like that, doesn't need to be the fanciest camp, but if it has something really unique, a unique location, it's got the sustainability aspects, it's got the unique community element, any or all of those, send them our way. Just DM us at HoneyTrek, and we've got a pretty long list going. And then we're going to kind of route around the world to visit all these through Africa and Asia and Europe. So so definitely send them our way. If you've got one, if you're a glamping camp owner and want us to come visit, also DM us there.
yeah, awesome. And these guys, just so you know, like, I don't have the best in world or comfortable be wild because I lent that out and I haven't got that back because these are so good. But I reference these all the time as an architect, designing beautiful, unique stays. The quality and level of photography and places that you guys are visiting is really best in class. I mean, it's so good on the way that you guys are, finding these, wonderfully unique places to visit, and then, really giving a book, a National Geographic book that's, packaged in a way that I'm sure this is very helpful for glam sites. So yeah, well done on the work that you guys are doing. And if you guys have an interest, I would definitely apply, to get on Mike and Ann's list because they're super good. What else is hot on your list that you guys are working on that, we haven't chatted about yet?
No, well, I was gonna say, yeah, there is a top secret project that may or may not involve glamping and television and YouTube. It's in its nascent stages. We did just shoot a pilot in Indonesia, so not too nascent. So that's a fun little project. There'll be more to come on that. So just keep an eye on social around.
Along the lines of like exceptional places, kind of akin to the new Comfortably Wild Global Edition. So,
And then another fun one, which definitely intersects with glamping, like Ann was talking about, sustainability and regenerative travel is a big part of our ethos and what we try and inspire travelers to do. So another project that we work on with tourism boards, more on the tourism board side, but again, glamping is always woven into this, is we're on a search for the world's most romantic and sustainable destinations. So right now we've got about 6 different destinations added to this list. So if you go to honeytrek.com and just look for sustainable destinations, you'll see this list that we're building out. So we're also searching for cities, countries, communities that are just thinking holistically about the effects of tourism, how it can be regenerative, how it can make their community or their country better for having tourists. And so, we're on the search for that and to tell good stories about not just camp owners, but also entire regions that are really looking out for the environment. So if you have ideas of places you've been or that are high on your list, we're open to those suggestions or introductions in that realm. So that's like a big piece of our storytelling. And I think everybody who is opening a camp or, whatever your business is, we all need to just really put that front and center and just live with that ethos. And because money's great and vacation time's good, but if we don't have any environment out there to enjoy it in, and we all do have an impact, and we just need to understand that impact holistically of running our business and of us as travelers.
that's a good example how your guests can help. I think people who don't want to bother their guests and give them, rules about using the lights for this long or recycling. But if you say what your mission is and how your guests can be a part of it, people will want to pitch in and do the right thing.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I mean, so many of the most beautiful places in our world, you want to make sure that you're touching the land lightly, and I think that's such a good message for us to think about as we go in and build these. Is, hey, this was here, thousands of years before us, will be here thousands of years after, and what type of spaces do we want to leave our kids, grandkids? So something I'll take into mind as we're designing out places. So appreciate all of your input, your time hopping on the show here. If people want to connect with you, what's the best place for people to reach out?
Whatever channel you're on, we're on them all as HoneyTrek. Our website is
There's like a honeymoon, the long walk, TREK.
Yeah, exactly. So honeytrek.com/glamping will link you into a lot of our glamping resources so you can see how we work with existing camps, how people who are thinking about getting into the industry or they've already got land or they're already in development. Those clients that we kind of referenced are across the full spectrum from I don't even have land all the way through to I'm doing $1 million or $2 million a year in revenue. And we help them kind of elevate their glamping experience, everything from engaging with the guests to getting bookings to, on-site activities, amenities, structures, layout, landscaping, bathroom setup, food, all the third party, the community stuff we were talking about before. So we just kind of
It can all be found at honeytrek.com/glamping experts. And that kind of lists everything from the consulting to the social media storytelling and photography.
we just love, hopefully you can hear it in our voice. We love this style of travel. We love the community that it brings and just love working with people and helping them bring their kind of dreams to reality or, to fruition. We're there to help ease some of those roadblocks. We won't remove them all. You'll always come across some stumbling things, but we'll help get rid of a lot of questions that you've got and just kind of be a little glamping guardian angel on your shoulder. Like, yes, that's a good idea. That is not a good idea. And just save you some of that pain point down the road. And it's all one-on-one. We do it just like we're doing this Zoom right now. It's just Ann and I and you on a Zoom and just kind of helping bring those. Yeah, it's fun. So give us a call or shoot us an email.
Love it. Thank you guys so much again. And hopefully we'll get you guys back on soon.
Sounds good.
All right.
That was awesome.